Hello, chess players. Welcome to another lesson with Coach Nathan. This lesson is on defending against check. The aim of this lesson is learning how to deal with an attack on the king, called check, learning how to defend against checks, and a couple of different options. You'll have to make a decision on which defense to make out of the check. So let's go right into it. First position. Here's a puzzle. Right now, the black king's in check from the rook. Must get out of check. It's a necessity that the king moves out of check, and you must deal with the check before the game goes on. So the question is, what are black's defenses to this rook check? Well, quite obviously, the king can take because it's right next to the rook, and also the queen can capture the rook. Okay, does it make a difference? Can you capture either? We have to look at it. There's actually a big difference here. There's only one correct capture. If you make the wrong move, white will actually win the game. So I'll give you a second to look at it. Question is, should you defend the check by capturing the rook with the king or the queen? Beware of your opponent's pieces here. The queen here is on this long diagonal. The idea is here is you must take the rook with the queen. If you make a mistake and capture the rook with your king, queen plays to h8, and this is check and okay, here the black queen is in check from the bishop on h7. Let's look at our options. What are the defenses to check? Capturing, running away, interposing, known as blocking. So let's see here. It looks like the king can run to h8. I don't know if we want to make that move. It looks like also the knight here on f8 can capture the bishop. Well, it looks like capturing is the best move because if you move to h8, the knight on g5 can now capture a pawn on f7, giving a check. So I don't know, and then we have another capturing. This looks a little bit messy. Let's go back. That looks a little bit uncomfortable for black. Pawns are starting to fall. You let a check happen. Let's see if there's a better way to defend. Now, last time the king moved to h8, walking away from the pawn on f7, allowing the knight to take. How about if we capture first? Now, you're taking a piece, which is great. You're also still protecting the pawn on f7. Looks like everything here on the king side safe from the queen. Capture is the best move. You're also attacking the knight. So if they choose to capture, your king's close enough to capture back. Okay. Queen on b2 is aiming right. King on b8. Now, this is a tricky situation. How to get out of check here? There's lots of options. Notice this queen is very tricky. It's also on this long diagonal. a1, h8 can have this check on h8. We have to keep our eye open. So black to move. What do we do? You run away to a8 or c8. Is that a good move? There's also a couple ways to block or interpose. It looks like the queen can move right over to b6 and stop this check. The knight is also useful on b6, blocking the check safely because it's protected by pawns. Same with the queen. If the queen goes to b6, protecting the pawn. Now, what I'd like to look at is after, if the king runs away, we can actually rule this out because the queen plays to b7 and it's automatically a supported mate. There's a helper on a6, helping the queen who's chasing the king on a checkmate. It looks as if the king plays to f1. Now to c8. We have to look very carefully here. It doesn't look like there's a mate anymore on b7 because the king can run away to d8. But remember, the queen's on this long diagonal. And these diagonals get tricky because it forces your eye to look all the way up on the board. Boom. Queen to h8 check. The king cannot run to b7. The square is guarded by the pawn. It's a pretty strong pawn here. The king's own pawns are blocking its way. The king cannot move to b8. Queen controls the entire line. Now go to b8. Here it's checkmate. Almost. Queen plays to f8. This is an interposing move, but it's useless because queen captures and it's still checkmate. So the king cannot run away. We have to look at two ways of interposing. Do you interpose with the queen or the knight? Well, if we try with the queen, again, we missed the diagonal move. The queen can go all the way back to h8, and neither the knight or the queen can be used to block the check. Now let's look if we interpose with the knight. The knight goes to b6, stopping this check. Now, and this is why knights are so tricky, so useful knights are. The queen goes to b8 to h8. Now the knight can be used c8 to block it. Okay. Queen on c4 is attacking the king on a4. Let's look at white's options. And there's not a lot, but we have to look at all of them. Well, I see that the queen is on the diagonal and can fit right in between the queen and the king, interposing against this check. Looks like this pawn moved to b4, interposing against the check. So what's the difference? Is one move good and the other bad? Same, different? Give you a second to look at it. How to defend this check. Okay, queen to b4 is the move. Always be careful with your king, especially against the queen. After you make your move, what checks do they have? If you played b4, you made a little mistake. This king on a6 is guarding two squares from this king. The king actually has no escape squares in this position, cannot move to b5 or a5 or b3. Black can now play c2, and this king's in checkmate. There's harmful material. That's pieces of its own color are blocking its way. The queen can't help here, cannot block the check. And the black king is guarding squares. The king is in checkmate. Here, you want to use your queen to stop the check. Now, in this case, if the queen captures queen, your king can capture back. And eventually, you'll get a pawn through to the other side. You'll make a queen, and you'll use it to checkmate this king. Here, the queen on f6, checking the king on f8. What moves are helpful here? How does black get out of check? Here are these three pieces, although they are worth a lot of points, they're just not in the correct positions to interpose. The knight can't jump over, the bishop can't help to interpose here. In this position, it's all up to the king. The queen takes away 3 flight squares from the king. He can go to e8, go to g8. What's the difference? What's the best move? Should the king move to g8 or e8? Notice also white has a bishop here and would like to put it to work in attacking the king. What is black's best move? And flip the board. Sorry, I'm flipping the board. So you are black, you're in check here. The queen on f6 is checking your king. And I'm leaving this question up to you. How to get out of check? So you move to e8, you move to e8. Difference. Give you a hint. Beware of this bishop. Chose e8. Made a very good move. Thought that queen to h8 might be checkmate. It's not. You can defend by blocking the check, interposing. Now, if you chose instead to get out of check by going to g8, this is a mistake. Because now white gets to put the bishop to work and is a strong soldier. Bishop on c4, checking the king. And again, black's pieces are posted, unfortunately, in that none of them can block this check. The bishop can't be used. The knight can't block the check. The queen's trapped in here. King's checking the bishop. Cannot run to any of these 4 squares. h8, g7, f7, or f8 because the queen guards them all. The checkmate. This is called an assisted mate. One piece guards and the other checks, giving the chase. Okay, here we go. Wow. Very interesting position. The black queen has managed to get all the way up the board and bring out this king and start ruthlessly checking it. See if white has a chance here. Where would you put your king to get out of this check? Cannot capture the queen. It's protected by a pawn. So your only option is to run away. There are only 2 flight squares here, c1 and e2. The question is, should you move your king to c1? Should you run away to e2? What is the difference? How do you defend? Give you a second. I'll give you a hint. The wrong move runs into checkmate. Okay, if you chose king to c1, you played a very good move. If you chose king to e2, you missed black's supported mate in the middle of the board. The queen and the pawn work very well together. The pawn support the queen, protect it, goes to d6, checking the king, and the king has nowhere to run. And again, white's pieces are unfortunately posted. They're not out, right? They're all sleeping in their barracks. You have to wake these soldiers up, and they won't be able to use. The knight can't help, the bishop can't help, the queen can't help. And this is what happens if you don't develop your pieces and bring them out. Okay, guys, thank you for joining me for this checkmate class. I'll put in the right move here. This king to c1. I hope you play this in your games. Find me on Chess Kid. I'm Coach Nathan Chess. I'll see you soon.